Welcome back to the Auto Insider, where you come to find out what's new, what's hot, and what's not in the automotive industry. This week we have the 2023 GV70 Prestige all-wheel drive from Genesis.
Mommy and I always talk about her Tesla because we know that she really likes the Model Y. And we know that for me, I'm a little bit maybe not. But when we compare this to Mommy's Model Y from ride, quality, it could be from acceleration, all those things, how does it compare to the Tesla?
This is an all-electric car, correct?
Yeah, it's all electric.
I haven't really heard the bass on this car yet, but that would definitely be a big factor for me. And I can definitely say these seats are way more comfortable than the ones in Tesla. These are more soft, cushy, and they feel like I'm swaddled by them.
You know what I just thought about when you said that, like this car is all electric?
What?
The reason why you weren't sure is because inside of here, it looks like
a car.
And that's the part about the Genesis that I like the most.
So I think this is perfect, comfortable. Just feels nice and bright in here, and I can't hear any revving of an engine.
In the absence of Mrs. Auto Insider, we got Auto Insider Jr. here.
Miss Passenger Princess.
And yes, this is the all-electric version. From the outside, it's hard to tell the difference. The only way you would know is the no tailpipes coming from the rear bumper. And for the record, I'm a real fan of those tailpipes on the gas-powered GV70. But everything else about this EV version knocks it out of the park. Some of you may be thinking, Daryl, there are enough EVs on the road. What's so special about this Genesis? Can it be any hotter than any other electric vehicle? Well, yes. There are a couple of things that make this GV70 a whole lot better than any other EV out there, and it's gonna make it hard for the likes of Tesla, Audi, Mercedes, and everybody else. For starters, the charging. This vehicle, according to Genesis, will charge from 10% to 80% of its battery in less than 18 minutes. You can get up to 60 miles of range in 5 minutes. Now, with a charging system like that, it's gonna be really hard to beat this GV70. And then while we're talking about charging, let's even talk about the partnership that Genesis has made with Electrify America. For the first 3 years of ownership, starting from the day you take delivery, you get complimentary 30-minute charging on this vehicle for 3 years. Now, if you go back to my first statement, it can charge from 10 to 80% in 18 minutes. That means for the first 3 years, you shouldn't spend 1 penny charging up this GV70. Another way you'll notice that we're talking about the EV is the white brake calipers, and you know we're talking about the Prestige version of this GV70 by the white interior, the quilted interior, and the leatherette along the dashboard. This thing has Alcantara headliner and a panoramic roof. Let's not waste any more time out here. Let's go inside and let's see just how well this road noise control feature works on this GV70 and how it stacks up to the other EVs on the market. And if you're asking me, which you are if you're watching this video, this is the best seat in the house in this GV70. For starters, as soon as you step in, it feels as though you have stepped into a luxury vehicle. I'm talking about 5-star hotel luxury. Everything from this leatherette dashboard with this white stitching along here, and then it transitions to this white leatherette here along the bottom part of the dash, and then this exclusive white leather interior, this Napa leather interior for the Prestige version. Comes with this gold stitching here and this quilted leather in the seat backs. This is a vehicle that says you've spent 6 figures when you haven't. And once you get over bragging about the fact that what a bargain you got this vehicle for, there's all these other things to talk about here, like this touchscreen here for all of your HVAC controls. Then you have heads-up display to keep your eyes on the road and away from everything else. And then you have all your controls here on the steering wheel. On this soft leather wrapped steering wheel, gives you a really sporty yet luxury design. This feel is amazing. You have your controls for your phone, radio, your smart cruise control, your lane keep assist, and here at the bottom of the steering wheel is this boost button. I'm feeling like luxury and sport all combined into one. But with all this luxury, it's hard to imagine any kind of sport coming out of here. But
That's where this boost button comes in here on the bottom of this steering wheel. This boost button takes you from 429 horsepower up to 483 horsepower for 10 seconds to give you a really big grin on your face and the ability to accelerate past most any other vehicles on the road. Another feature that I really like about this GV70 is not just the way these seats look, but the way these seats work. Now, I refer to it as massaging seats, but Genesis nomenclature refers to it as ergo motion seats. And what I found out is if I set this, then as I'm driving and I'm in the car for extended periods of time, this ergo motion seat comes on and starts to relax and stretch my back and just move me around so that I won't get overly tired on a long drive. And before you start, it's an EV, and yes, you do have EV range anxiety for a lot of you new EV drivers, but when you think about the fact that this car in great conditions can get you upwards of 235 miles of range, let's maybe drop that down to about 200 miles of range on the highway. But with that Electrify America deal that Genesis struck up, remember, you get 3 years of complimentary charging for up to 30 minutes on each section. And when this car will charge from 10 to 80% in 18 minutes, that's enough time for you to get coffee, donuts, use the bathroom, and get back on the road. So this is one of the EVs that you may be able to start planning road trips for your family. You have your knob here to put the vehicle in gear, and you have controls here for your infotainment system. If there were any knock I would have to place on the Genesis, would be these knobs being so similar. I have found myself once or twice reaching down, touching this gear selector when I was actually trying to control the infotainment system. But now that I've been in the car for about 5 or 6 days, it's become second nature. I know which one is which. It just takes a couple of days to figure out how to manage yourself and navigate through that piece. The second thing that I may knock Genesis for is the lack of USB-C fast chargers. You have 2 standard chargers here in the front, 2 standard chargers in the second row, as well as a wireless charger, which works well, by the way, because your phone just falls right down in here, stays in place. So turning corners and curves doesn't move your phone around. It keeps it charged. I have an iPhone 14. It fits there, no problem. The cup holders are a bit small, but this isn't a big gulp type of car. You're only going to be putting fancy coffee in here. Here in the center console, you have decent space. This is removable. You can put the things in here that you want to keep around and get to quickly, and it's pretty deep. You can put things in here to keep out of the way. Above head here, there's a great place for my sunglasses. I love to be able to put these away, and then they're easily accessible when I'm ready to get back to trying to be cool. So my daughter and I, the passenger seat princess, have been comparing the GV70 Prestige to my wife's Tesla Model Y Performance. Both have panoramic roofs, and Tesla has, to their credit, done a really good job of keeping the temperature in the vehicle consistent even with that glass roof. We've seen other car companies not do so well. To my surprise, the panoramic roof in this Genesis GV70 also does a really good job of keeping the heat out and keeping the temperature under control. But you do have that cover that is also covered in this suede-like material to carry the luxury theme even when you don't want the light. But the big advantage for this GV70 is the roof opens. So for those of you who love the wind blowing in your hair and you want all the sun in, you have an option in the GV70. You have rain sensing automatic windshield wipers and a stalk here, easy to read, easy to understand. On this side, you have your auto dimming headlights as well as your automatic on and off headlights. So not only do the lights come on at dusk, but they'll also brighten and dim your lights when you're on dark, poorly lit roads. You also have heads-up display that gives you information like speed, approaching stop signs, and different warning signs will also appear here on your heads-up display. Down here, you have monitors that monitor the attention of the driver. So if you happen to be using this smart cruise control on a road trip, it'll monitor whether or not you're paying attention, and it will deactivate the smart cruise control if your eyes are off the road
for too long. Now let's talk about the back seat. Now, while this GV70 EV is not a car that I would necessarily recommend as a family vehicle, but if you have 2 young children, as you can see, there's decent leg room. There are also cutouts here in the seat backs to allow for a little more knee room. You have a third climate control here for your second row passengers, so they can control the temperature, the fan speed, and the direction of the air here in the second row. You also have 2 USB chargers here in the second row. They're not fast chargers, but you got 2, and some are always better than none. You also have here cup holders for their drinks. In this white interior, it would be off limits for any type of drinks except water. And then for the outside chance that you have one over here with a little bit longer legs, there's the ability here in true Genesis fashion to move this seat up and out of the way to provide a little more leg room on this side. The driver is still in control. So now let's talk about some of the nice party tricks. As you can see, no keys in my hand. You see the lights flashing? I have the remote in my pocket, and what it does is it automatically activates the power lift gate. So if my hands are full, I don't have to worry about fumbling around for a key or kicking my foot under here, looking silly in the parking lot to get it open. And it opens and gives me plenty of room to access this more than adequate cargo space. And as you can see, there is good cargo space. I would like to have seen more underfloor storage like in the Tesla, but Genesis has done a pretty decent job of at least giving us places to put things like this cargo cover, our charging cable, our charging inverter. That one we can use to power electronic devices from our home, small things like TVs, things of that nature. You cover it up, it's all out of anybody's view. And then if you're going to use this as an SUV, like most of you may, you also have 60/40 folding second row seats, so it gives you tons of space to get things from antiquing. And for those of you who either already own an SUV or you're thinking about an SUV, here's something you should also always consider. It's how do I cover up my cargo in this area? Genesis also has this nice little cargo cover that covers up all of your belongings so that people on the outside can't peer in and see them. That's an option on a lot of vehicles. But let me show you how you put this up and out of the way when you don't need it. You may or may not know, I get my love of the automobile from my father. Let's take a minute and get an 85-year-old's perspective of this new technology.
But who else competes so heavily with this? What, the Cadillac, the Lyric, or the Mercedes, they ride like this?
I haven't driven those. I would imagine they drive like this. But when it comes to like fit and finish, quality, luxury, appointment, they haven't gotten to this level yet.
Yeah, I used to come back and come through here.
Bet your car didn't ride this good coming down here.
I don't know if I've ever ridden in one that drove this good.
I don't know if it's the
You
best
cross
place.
the tracks and you say, what tracks? It's got space for your feet, space for
And I can move your seat forward and back from here.
okay. What you doing in my seat? So what kind of shift points does this have?
And the electric motors, so it doesn't, there's no need.
Oh yeah, that's right. It doesn't have to shift at all. Kind of like an old Dynaflow.
And so
Buick
if
Dynaflow.
Buick Dynaflow,
Boy, that was nice. They call it the gas hog beam then, but it was smooth. I hated to give that up. What's the chance that drivers will be taking long trips in this vehicle?
it's only got about 250 miles of range. By electric car though, it'll say 250 miles of range, but that's city stop and go driving because like right now, the regenerative brakes, which says I pedal, every time I let go of the gas, this little needle tells me that it's charging, it's sending charge power back to the battery. So when you're doing stop and go driving in town, hybrids and electric vehicles do much better and get more range driving around town because it allows it to recharge itself. But if you're driving like a gas powered car, if it say 250, you really gonna get 250. On this car on a highway trip, you probably get about 200 miles, which means every 200 miles, you gotta have somewhere to stop and recharge.
Unless you got two drivers, you need to stop for a half hour anyway. if you drove 200 straight miles. You probably need to stop. But if you got 2 or 3 drivers, he don't want to stop for 10 minutes and keep
Go in.
They went through all that with gasoline vehicles back 100 years ago, whatever it was. And like I told you before, for a while, I used to take a gas can with me in the trunk, and then sometimes take an empty gas can. But it wasn't exactly the safest thing.
I don't think anybody, I wouldn't want to carry around the gas can.
When I had the service station, I had people run out of gas. If you didn't charge, they want to. I had one to charge a couple of dollars for a can. They still didn't bring it back. They figured they had bought it. This thing is just so quiet.
So quiet, you could almost fall asleep driving this thing.
You want to get out of the car. Say, wait a minute, what am I going to get out for? You sure I'd like to get out?
You don't want to get out,
You
huh?
have to get out. What am I going to do?
You can't be better than this, huh?
Well, there you have it. In his 85 years, he's driven everything from cars with no AC to the Dynaflow transmission to the Cadillacs in his heyday. Now, he's settled in on that Lexus brand, but as you can tell, he's impressed with this GV70. That's all the time we have today on the Auto Insider, but for more what's new, what's hot, and what's not, be sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, then download the SoundCloud app and listen to all of our reviews in their entirety. The 2023 Genesis GV70 Prestige all-wheel drive electric vehicle. Is it hot or is it not? This may be the first time I've ever said this on the Auto Insider, but this car is the epitome of hot. Where else can you get a compact SUV that'll fit in any parking garage, yet you can carry 3 little ones in the back seat with very little fuss? You got ventilated seats, heated seats, you can extend the bottom of the seat for long road trips, you have a 3-year complimentary charging schedule with Electrify America. You can drive this car for 3 years and you will never spend a penny charging it up. That's it. Until next week, I'm Daryl Killian for the Auto Insider.